Hey, in this video, we're going to see how to identify people or companies who are running a podcast and then how to reach out to them using cold email or LinkedIn. And we're going to see how to use data from the podcast to make our emails or outreach messages even more personalized. So that being said, let's dive right in. Okay, so let's see how to find companies or individuals who are running a podcast on the internet. So the first step you can do is use Apollo. So Apollo is a free database, and basically it enables us to find companies who are running like a podcast. So if you've ever used like LinkedIn or stuff like these type of data platform, you know that there is not like a specific category is running a podcast or is like is a doctor or is something very specific or like is a YouTube short agency. Basically, this video is going to help you also with these type of like very specific use case. In our example, we're doing podcast. So you can go in companies tab, industry, and industry, you're not going to find anything. But if you go in keywords here, you can go and add podcast. So here it says 27,000 people who are running a podcast. If we take like a random example, obviously this is going to be right. But if I go Becker private equity, okay, this is going to be correct. The Boost. So let's see the Boost podcast. Yeah, so I say it's probably correct like 80-90% of the time. But basically, so you've got here this 27,000 companies who are running a podcast, and then you can go in people, and from people you can go like decision makers, like job title, all of that stuff. All of what I'm showing you right now is free, by the way. Like Apollo, you can sign an Apollo link for free. Once you're satisfied with your current segmentation, teacher, obviously this is not going to be right. But let's say this is the case. You want to take that link, go here, export apollo.com. From there, you can basically take the link and convert the link into emails. So here you see you've got like job title, company, and here access email. This you need to pay, but if you use this, you can have this for free. And then say how many people you want. Let's say 5,000 people. Pay as you go. This would be $25. So this is the first way to find companies that are running podcasts. Then once you've got your list of emails, you just import them in your like Lemlist, Smartly, Instantly, whatever. First way. A second way, which is a bit more accurate but more technical, but it's going to allow us to have more data, is I found this from someone else. So kudos to the person who thought of this. You can go like this on Google and do like site and then basically put the structure of like how podcast URLs are built with Apple. And basically it's going to give you a list of all links where there's like a Apple podcast. So go like this, and then you can put a mention, but you don't have to. Like, let's say we want to get all podcasts like this. This would be like all the podcasts, and you're going to be limited to 30 page of Google, which is already 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 11, 12, and then 12 times 30 would be around 300. So you would get a bit more. You get 350 podcasts per category. So you're going to go like this, and then you can go finance, and then you can get all the finance podcasts, and you could even do like, I think you need to go like this. Yeah, so like this, and maybe you can go like Gmail. And there you can actually, so this is one way to do it. You can collect like instant emails from there, but usually these emails are not going to be verified and not going to be very valid. So I wouldn't recommend to do this. What I would recommend to do though is keep just your section of people like this. And from there, we're going to use a tool, Instant Data Scraper. Okay. Yeah. So this is correct. And here it's finding, so this is the name of the podcast and this is the URL. And we're going to use this because from the URL of the podcast, we're going to be able to then find the company, like the website of the people. And from the website, we can collect email address. So we've got this, and then you can simply, okay, this is correct. Locate next, go down here, boom. Then as settings, I would recommend doing 5 and 20 because otherwise 1 sometimes is too quick. Start scrolling, and here magic happens. Maybe. Yep. So and here is doing this for like if I go here, it's just getting all of the data for me without, you see, it's just changing pages. So I'm not going to do all of it, but basically this is the idea. From there, you're going to take this, copy as a CSV, and then you can go into Clay, import this into Clay as a new table. So Clay, you can also get a free trial. So here you can see it's the same podcast link, podcast name, podcast link, podcast name. And then I just remove some of the like unnecessary stuff. I've got all of this. And then from there, I'm running a Claygen saying, based on the name of this podcast and the link. So name of the podcast, we have this from Google. Link of the podcast, we have this. Go find the website of the company running the podcast, only output the website. And this is like super correct. I've double checked this, honestly, like 90% of the time. So if you take a random one, people.ai, go there. So these guys must have a website. So I don't know if I can find it like this, resources. Hopefully. What was it? People.ai podcast. People of AI podcast. So yeah, that would be the link. I can even see I clicked on this before. So that is for finding website. And now once you have website, well, it's the same. Well, it's not the same. You go here, you go back to Apollo basically, and here you can go import CSV, import accounts, select CSV, and then you're just gonna match the website. And then in people, you can go like this, and then you can look only people inside a list. So in my case, I've done this already. I've done this with podcast people, and here it's finding people only in the podcast link. So which is pretty accurate. And now once you have this, you can simply take the link, go to Export Apollo, and get the people inside, basically. So this is it to find the podcast. Now I'm going to show you how to do some personalization and just some copywriting advice. So I'm actually doing this for a podcast agency. And so we're running this on people who have podcasts and people who don't have podcasts. So let me go straight to people who actually have podcasts. Here's something we're saying. So, hey, I noticed you're doing great with your podcast name. If we could rank podcast name in the top 10 of podcast category name, so like finance, would you be open to a quick chat? So this is pretty interesting. So email one, this is type of personalization we can do. Based on just the podcast name, we can find the category. And then email number 2 is like, since you mainly work with industry of ICP, so like since you mainly work with SaaS companies to help them like scale their Google advertising, I saw these companies would be a great fit. And then we're like suggesting 3 companies to get them on the show, because the podcast agency with who I'm working, they're like a full done for you podcast, and they're like finding the guests, doing the production of that stuff. So we're like saying as a lead magnet, like, hey, I've done my research, like this is super personalized. We could get you this company on the show. Would you be interested or not? And so let me show you how I'm running this inside of Clay. So we're going to see in the first part, classic stuff. So this you've seen already, like so this is the personalization for like no, wait, let me guess. So this is podcast name. Here we've got, let me move this. No, here we've got podcast category. So I'm saying, shit, where is it? Let me go here. I'm saying check out this podcast from the website and figure out in which category it is, and then simply output the category. Example, finance. So I was doing this like all of the categories, so my emails look really good. And then email 2 is this. Yeah, like this. Email 2, visit this. So this is a pretty long prompt because I had to go back and forth, so it was perfect. But let me give you a brief overview. Visit this company's website. The fuck? And identify the industry of their customers and their value proposition. Then output following the structure. You don't have to. Since you're working with, then I showed you this already. Example, since you're working with SaaS companies to help them with Google Ads, I thought this company would be a great guest for your first podcast. Company 1, company 2, company 3. Instructions. Make sure the first sentence doesn't sound too generic because it was like usually copy paste from the website. For the client industry, don't mention client names, but instead refer to actually industries. Number 3, the recommended companies must be similar or higher level of authority compared to the company name. Don't propose gigantic companies if website is smaller. Because something I was doing, like sometimes it was looking at mid-sized company and it was saying, hey, on your net podcast, I can get you Google, Slack, and Salesforce. But that would never happen. So I need the authority level to be matching the level of authority of the client. If it's a big client, then we can get big names. But otherwise, this just doesn't sound realistic. And as for the format, yeah, we're just sometimes it was saying like we can get you in touch with like Google Ltd. Yeah, we just want to normalize this and make it good. Find companies in terms of So let's okay, whatever. So let's see basically. So since you're working with marketing professionals to help them enhance their skills and network, I noticed like ChatGPT always use like enhance, boost, like some typical words. I need to add them to the prompt. But anyway, I saw these companies could be great guests for your podcast episode. American Advertising Federation, Association of National Advertising. So these are like really specific stuff based on the client. Let's take another one. Since you're working with business education institution, to see enhance again. I thought this HEC Paris. Yeah, so this must be a school instead. Yeah, so it's taking like other authority leaders in their niche, which is what we're asking it to do. So basically that is it for this video. If you would like us to do something similar for your company and actually like do this on a full done for you basis, also like check out, these are some results to show you this works. We did this with another B2B companies, 293 positive replies in the first month, which is like 80 meetings booked. Our campaign lately, 4 meetings booked. Amazon ecom, 4 meetings booked. Our campaign, 9 meeting books. SaaS company, 80K revenue generated, and a SaaS pharmaceutical company, 200K in worst opportunities. So feel free to book a free call and we'll just like look at your outbound system, your offer, and see if we can do this for you. Otherwise, just stay around for the free value.